Hi everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoy our shows, please like our videos and subscribe to our channel. And you can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Lucas, yesterday when you came to my event here in Copenhagen, I wanted to say to you all day that I felt you had really strong Arcturian connections. And you see, because all of us, before we came to Earth, we came from a star system within this Milky Way galaxy. Most of us. Some people came from outside of this galaxy entirely. But I feel that you came from Arcturus. So I just feel I want to do a little greeting for you in the Arcturian language. See what you feel. Okay? Akalakazima does and a bit of calakodasa. Akalakajustasona belakasia. A mishloka said a pedexul of the car. Ola sword is saying belaka zolokoya. A mishloka samatia. A melokaziti sea like a bidi salabalakosia. A lakaziti soda grab suglas sugadiasia. A la said a bidi kolakazitakazabatia. A mishtiaka matia, 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 matia. Matia, which just means you are loved, you are blessed, and so it is.
Wow. Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's the 26th of May 2019, and our guest today is a wayshower and energy healer from New Zealand. She's an author, lecturer, spiritual teacher, and an alien, extraterrestrial, and interdimensional channeler. Judy Satori. Judy Satori, welcome to the show, welcome to Denmark, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be on the show today.
Aliens, extraterrestrials, and interdimensional beings speak through you, providing you with messages that you pass on to audiences at lectures and spiritual seminars that you have all over the world. And yesterday here in Copenhagen, Denmark, you had a great and very fascinating seminar at the Royal Danish Library, also known as the Black Diamond. Mm-hmm. But this language that these beings communicate to you, it sounds very peculiar and very unusual. So first of all, how on earth, or shall we say, beyond the beyond.
Beyond the beyond.
Are you able to do this?
I feel it's something that my soul could do in past life. I didn't know I could ever do it. It really happened it's now about 17 years ago, and it happened completely out of the blue. And I had been an energy healer and a channel, and I worked with a lot of people. But 17 years ago, I went to a spiritual festival in New Zealand where I was living. And I was guided by spirit. And I just also want to say before we go on that I only work with beings of light and love. I don't actually work with, our perception of aliens. I work with beings who are of God, of source, of all that is, of oneness. And so I know that there's both. And I think probably one of the things I really want to explain to everybody who's viewing the show today is that yes, there are the bad guys, but there's also the good guys. And the good guys are here with all of us, and they've been with me for 22 years. And so when I had this thing happen to me, I was just standing in front of a group of people. Spirit said to me, we're going to bring some energy through you. And to my great surprise, this torrent of these really strange words started coming out of my mouth. And over the last 17 or so years, I've worked with different languages. Some of them are about clearing what's called karmic miasmic patterning from the cells of the body. This is like the stuck trauma energy of past life. Some of them are about rewiring the body's energy circuits, and some of them are like multi-galactic languages. And I have no idea how I speak them, but I just know how to do it.
But how did you first hear these? Did you hear voices in your head? How did that happen? It must have been kind of very surprising the first time this happened.
It was. And it was 22 years ago, and I was just in my normal life as marketing consultant, PR consultant in corporate land, which many people are, very normal. And I received a brochure in the mail about a learn to channel, which means learn to connect to spirit, good guys, a class in New Zealand, and I went along. And at that workshop, which was 2 days, we had to do a lot of energy sensing techniques, but I met with, in my inner sight, I could see a very tall being with a black beard and a purple robe and a dark skin and black eyes. And when I telepathically said, "What is your name?" because that was part of what we had to do as part of the course, I very clearly got the word Balthazar. And I thought, Balthazar? I really thought I was making it up, but it's such a complicated, such a strange name. I couldn't just come out of thin air. So in the week that followed, I got to understand that Balthazar was one of the Magi, one of the 3 wise men that were there at the birth of Jesus, that energy. So that's how I connected with spirit in the beginning, and it's just been a march, a path since then.
Did this Balthazar tell you that he was one of the wise men?
Yes, he did. And you see, the only thing that convinced me that what I was doing was real is what I could see and sense in my inner sight, and also the fact that when Balthazar's energy meshed with my own energy fields, I shook really, really strongly. And for the first couple of years in working with Balthazar, I spoke in a voice that was not mine. It was a very, like a deeper voice, a strange voice, not my voice. It was like I was a semi-conscious channel. I wasn't in a trance, I was completely awake and aware, but some other energy took over my body. But the energy felt very high and loving. It wasn't a negative energy. It felt wonderful.
But you must have been shocked the first time this happened to you.
Yeah, it was.
Did you actually see this person? Did you envision something?
I saw it.
Spirit being?
I'm not clairvoyant. I have never seen, except for once or twice, paranormal phenomena or beings of light standing in front of me. Twice I have, but mostly I don't. Mostly I see within my inner vision, and I sense the energy, and I'm very clairaudient, so I hear perfectly. Yeah.
So what did you see when you actually saw beings of light, or whoever they were?
When I actually saw beings of light, it was after I did a 10-day meditation workshop called Vipassana, and it's conducted all over the world, and you don't speak for 10 days and you meditate for long periods of time. A
silent retreat?
Silent retreat. And that stilled my mind to such an extent that when I came out of that workshop after 10 days and I went straight to my energy healing class because I was training in auric healing at the time, I could see tall beings of light standing around each massage table where people were working. They were at least as high as the ceiling. They were very tall and very slim, and I could see them perfectly clearly.
Physical or non?
Physically.
But
they were light. They were light, but they were, you see, because they were from higher dimensions, more expanded, faster pulsating energy environments than us. And so even though they have physical bodies, with our eyes, our human eyes, we could only perceive that faster pulsating energy as light.
Were they humanoid?
They were humanoid, yeah.
And did you see the faces?
The faces looked like slightly turned up eyes and quite long. Their bodies were long and slim, quite beautiful really.
So were they like what some people have described as the tall whites?
I feel that they were Arcturian, just like I just spoke to you about, because the Arcturians, my understanding of the Arcturians from probably ninth dimensional Arcturus, is that the Arcturians are masters of the emotions. They're very good at helping us with our emotional body. And for several years in my work, I used to work with Arcturian healing techniques. I don't now, but what happened to me after I started to work with Balthazar is that after a year I began to work with ascended masters, Saint Germain, archangels, cosmic angels, the Jesus, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mary, many beings of light I've worked with, and it's been to step me up to work with the frequencies that I now work with, which are source energy.
But are you actually religious, or are you Christian?
I was brought up Christian, and I was brought up Presbyterian in New Zealand actually, and I did attend Sunday school as a child. I don't consider myself as religious now. I consider myself as spiritual because I also have equal belief in the teachings of the Buddha. I believe that Muhammad did a great deal of good also, and that there are many wise, wonderful teachers who came to this planet.
But do you actually believe that Jesus existed, was a man that lived on this planet?
Yes,
and
I
also
do.
the Virgin Mary and Mary Magdalene?
Yes, I do. Because I feel them, and I've worked with both of them very strongly. And I've worked with Lady Mary very strongly. Her energy, I feel. She once taught me a prayer, a very beautiful prayer, and it goes like this: may the love of God come into this space, into our minds and into our hearts. In the stillness, let the word of God speak. And then this goes on, but I think what I have understood over the last 22 years is that we are all one, and there are certain truths and teachers of truth that have come to this planet since the beginning of time, really. Jesus, I strongly connect to, and always have. But not just Jesus, many. Because Jesus came to teach the way. He came to teach that the way forward through this ascension process, which is an evolution process for humanity, is through love and the power of the love creation within the heart. And Mary Magdalene equally taught the way.
So you don't think it's a story written at that time in order for people to, let's say, follow a certain set of rules at that time, and they actually still do that in terms of religions being a way of
control.
Control, exactly.
I do think that there were certainly real and true miraculous events that occurred 2,000 years ago, and I feel that Jesus held a great deal of very high vibrational God energy, strong creation energy, which made him able to do some of the wonderful things that he did. But what he also said in his teachings was, what I can do, so you too will do, and more. And I feel that 2,000 years ago, he wasn't speaking of the people at that time. He was speaking of the people at this time now, as we wake up to the truth of who we are as God beings, as avatar beings, and as we remember more of the more expanded soul truth of who we really are.
So do you believe that we all have, that we are like the movie Avatar, that we are part of that connection to, let's say, a higher dimension of self?
Absolutely. And it goes beyond a higher dimension of self, because if we look at self, if we look at our personality self, we, like Judy, Lucas, we have had many lifetimes on this planet, many lifetimes in this galaxy, probably many lifetimes in other galaxies, many lifetimes of soul coming into a physical form of expression. And so as we experience all these experiences, what we are doing is we are gathering in wisdom. Earth is a place of learning. It's a place of teaching. It's like a school for evolution of soul, really. Because every time we come into a human body, we are forgetting, to a large extent, what went on before. And so the only thing that we really have to guide us is our intuition, which is the voice of our higher self, the voice of our soul, speaking through the heart.
Why do you think that we keep forgetting and that we keep coming back here? Who is wiping our memories, do you think, of past life?
I don't think anybody's wiping our memories. I think that's just the difficulty of living in, as it has been up until recently, third dimensional Earth, because on a third dimensional vibration, when we come into these dense bodies, we forget. But what is now happening, and what I've noticed happening with many people, is that really, you know, since the year 2000, but particularly since 2012, when the Earth shifted to this faster pulsating energy environment that many people know of as the fifth dimension, people are being woken up to remember more than this lifetime. A lot of people I know and speak to remember past lives now.
But please mention some of the different alien or extraterrestrial, interdimensional races who communicate through you. I know that you've been talking about the Lyrians, the Syrians, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, and you can probably go on and talk a little bit about who they are and what they look like.
Okay, so for several years when I first started doing this work, 5 or so, I just worked with the warm, fluffy energies that we all know of, the ascended masters, the angels, beings that we relate to and know through our human conditioning. And then quite suddenly one day, I was sitting and I was just attempting to connect to my guide Balthazar, which I did. And I would say, Balthazar, my dear friend, please come to me. But this day he didn't come to me. But what came out of my mouth instead was a very strong, my name is Organ, like that. And it gave me such a shock. I thought some negative energy is somehow taking me over.
And what was the name again?
Orgon.
Orgon,
Yes.
okay.
So, gave me a shock because the energy felt so different. You see, because we have names like Judy and Lucas, but they have an energy signature. And we get to know beings who are not in physical bodies by the feeling of their energy signature. So I was used to feeling Balthazar's warm, fluffy, comforting energy signature. And
Good
when this
spirit,
good
though.
spirit, yeah, well, for one of the Magi, so he's got to be pretty good. And then the strange energy, I am Organ. I got a real fright. So I said to Balthazar, is it okay? And he said, it's okay. We want to introduce you to extraterrestrial, like multi-galactic, galactic beings, beings who are of this Milky Way galaxy, but not of the Earth. And I relaxed a bit, and very shortly thereafter I started working with the Hathors. Many people will know the Hathors, channeled by Tom Kenyon a lot. The Hathors are very masters of sound, and sound, of course, is energy, vibration, and we are energy, vibration. So they wanted to teach me to work with sound. This is before I even spoke these light languages, these energy languages. So I worked with the Hathors and they taught me a few things, and then they very quickly handed me over to the Syrians from Sirius. And I worked with the Syrians, and I worked with the Pleiadians, and I worked with the Lyrians. And I worked with the Arcturians, like I said before, and I did quite a bit of work with the Arcturians because, you see, this is prior to 2012. So prior to 2012, there was a lot of emotional healing that people needed because of this past life trauma that we all have locked away like a vibrating energies, like an off-pitch, very many off-pitch tones playing in the beautiful symphony of ourself, actually. And so I work with the Arcturians. But then in 2010, I began to understand a lot more about these races because I wrote a book called Sunshine Before the Dawn, and all of the connection and the reason for working with these, they're loving, they're star nations within this galaxy. They're benevolent, benign, very evolved beings, and they all contributed an aspect of their own DNA code to the human.
How can you tell the difference between these different races who communicate through you? How do you know if it's a Lyran or a Syrian or Arcturian?
I see, but mostly I hear, and I know. There's a sense, it seems to be that my sense of knowing is very strong. And the only reason I know that what I know is right is because I've worked with thousands of people. And they feel and they give me feedback, you see, because if I had to just trust what I'm doing without any feedback, I probably wouldn't trust it the same. It's only because I've worked with people for a long time now, 22 years, and they all give me feedback and they feel something happening when I do the energy work and when I speak these words. But I don't see the beings, I know them and I feel them, and if I really ask to look within my inner sight, I can see them.
How is the language?
The language different?
Different. I mean, if to most people, to me yesterday when I attended your event, it sometimes sounded a little bit like a mixture between Arabic and Chinese.
Yeah, it probably does. You see, we could call these languages languages of light, and many people do, because the languages of light we can all speak. But some of these languages are actually multi-galactic languages, and this is what you're really talking about now. So if I give you a demonstration, if I say, hello, how are you today? I'll ask them to do this. So I would like to say to the Syrians, okay, when I do that, that means they're coming through my body, you see, because I don't consciously do that. It's like a jerk, because it's like an energy connection of that energy. So there's a team, there's lots of people here actually. And the Syrians are saying, okay, we want to speak to people out there through you and explain. This is from Sirius, 5th to 6th dimensional. The earth it's not much different to us.
Non-physical.
They are physical, except we can't perceive them at this time because we are vibrating in a different frequency. That's all that there is. Okay? So they're wanting to say that every person on the planet, particularly everybody who's listening to the show, is a star seed. Everybody has come to the earth from some star system or another on a soul level a very long time ago to take on our human DNA code so that at this time on the planet the truth might come out, you see, and we might all advance and help the human race to evolve, and ourselves to evolve actually, because we have so much potential within our human DNA code, our avatar DNA code, that we don't even realize it's there. See? So that's Syrian language. So if I said I asked the Arcturians to speak, okay, they look really tall and thin, like I said before, and they resonate with different colours according to their vibration. So what they're showing me at the moment is there's a team of 3, because they tend to work in 3s, and this team of 3 is like a very dark purple magenta. Purple is the violet ray, which is to do with transformation, and magenta is about an expanded love. So they are working with transformation and expanded love. So when I bring these words through, you might feel them. I'll be interested to hear what you feel, and everybody who's listening will also feel something to do with transformation and love, getting ready to be transformed. Lisi di sine belakostus de bedekolaka. Imetas sokalashtoka. Misi to see metas sokadesity. Makalakadas de bedakasity. Meslokoya. Meslokoya de bedaso de bedasada belakoya. Meslokoya de medistona belakaya de sea. Meslokoya la sterna belakasta tokoya. Alakisa de kisa mata mati.
You said yesterday also at your event, Mattia. That was one thing that we really got a lot. And I also heard you say aka. Is that right?
Yeah, aka. There's usually these syllables at the end of the languaging. And aka is about grounding into the physical body, because in ancient Egypt, which was a child of Atlantis, which was a child of the stars and the star nations within this galaxy, aka is to do with the physical body, the word ka. So it's about grounding into the body, consolidating, and Mattia means you are loved, you are blessed, and so it is.
So it has nothing to do with Akasha, does it?
No, no. It could do, but not in my understanding.
So is there a significance in repetition when you say or you channel the same words again and again and again?
Yes, there is. Often it comes in threes, 1, 2, 3, because it's like the pyramidal form, the Trinity of, what we might say, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or peace, love, and oneness. It's a Trinity, and that Trinity, the pyramidal form, is a metaphysical figure of creation, transformation. So when they use the words 3 times, 1, 2, 3, it's like locking it in, locking it in, locking it in.
You have an overall description calling it the spirit, but it's many different races, so to speak.
But it's also God energy. And we could look at God as being religious, and I was brought up religion, as you know. Or we could look at God as being universal creation energy. Because spirituality over here, religion, and science over here, one and the same.
So why do you think we have so many different religions fighting against each other?
Well, I think that's very sad, because really if we go back to God, the creator, everybody's God is the same God, isn't it?
So it's used for control and also for like a financial and political purpose.
Well, I think it often is, and I think sometimes, we all know the conditioning of certain religious doctrines and the fear that creates in people. And if people grow up with that kind of conditioning and they don't look at it or challenge it when they become adult, sometimes it perpetuates. And there's nothing, religion is not bad. Religion is very blessed and good and probably speaks a lot of truth. But I think it's not the original teaching, it's some of the people involved who have corrupted that teaching over the centuries.
The priest, teaching guilt, shame, blame, and of course fear.
Yes, well, we've got to look at the original teachings of maybe Yeshua, Jesus, or the Buddha, and have those teachings been retained with the original purity that was intended? Or have sometimes those teachings been changed to suit human people?
And that's still a learning process for, let's just say, most people on the planet.
But it's like we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because the teaching is pure and valid. It's just how it may have been changed over the years.
So these beings, do they speak to you when you're not lecturing or doing a seminar or an interview like now?
Yes, they do.
How often? When?
They're always with me. They're always with me. I feel really protected and really cared for. And if I, say, lose my way, I just say, okay, what do I do? Where do I go? And I always get support. I feel that they're with me all the time, actually.
So why do, let's just say, regular people or most people, why do they not have that connection?
Well,
why can't they hear it? Why were you a chosen one to do this?
I don't know. I think it's something to do with my past lives and maybe the soul knowledge that I might have brought into this lifetime from past lives. I don't like to think of myself as being a chosen one, because I think we're all chosen. We're all special. I don't consider myself as special. I just consider myself as normal. I feel that I'm just doing a job, actually. And I feel that, for me personally, I feel that I began this job a very long time ago, and probably a few times I might have failed at the job. So I think this lifetime, I want to get it right.
It must take a good deal of strength to go public, because of course people who attend your lectures and seminars, they come there for that reason. But let's just say the ordinary person watching you saying all of this and maybe think, oh, that's just, well, gibberish or something like that. How do you face that? Are you confronted by people occasionally?
Well, to be honest, Lucas, I've never had to face it. I feel, maybe if I step out more, because as you say, I've worked mainly with people who are the converted, who coming to the workshops because they want to and because they feel the effects of the energy for the better. So I haven't actually ever been challenged. And I think if I was challenged, how would I cope with it? I guess I'd try to cope with it like a lot of people on the planet now who are challenged in the media, on the internet, on Facebook, when the people who are doing the challenging really know nothing about what they're challenging about. So
you speak your truth and you stand in your truth.
Yes, I do. I try to.
Mm-hmm. So yesterday when I attended your event, I have to say it was an incredible experience, and you are indeed a very good presenter, and you have a very warm-hearted and including energy that I think everybody felt there. And what was very extraordinary for me, who was sitting there watching all of this taking place, was the reactions from some of the people who attended, some people in the audience. A couple of people actually cried during your meditation and during your channeling. I noticed that, and I also noticed that when you asked people to close their eyes and you spoke one of the languages there, that their bodies were moving in a certain kind of way. And I thought, that's quite amazing. That's certainly not staged or anything. So how would you describe people's reactions? What is happening emotionally
To these people?
To these people?
Well, the energies that I'm working with now are source energies. So they're God energies, they're oneness energies. And we all have pain that we've experienced in this human life or other past lives. And so when I bring through energies, God-type energies, if you like, create new energies of new creation they do many things. Sometimes they clear distorted trauma patterns of energy from a person's energy field, or even from the cells of the body, or even at a DNA level, to activate a shift in the way the DNA code is expressing through that person. What is really occurring is that the people are being activated by the energy to release the stuck, distorted energy. And this can bring up emotional response, either because they feel joy or they are releasing sadness, both. And the people that were shaking, this is because we are all energy beings. And so when the energy is coming and it's being received into the cellular template and the DNA template of the body, the DNA is of course in every one of our trillions of cells in the body, this is causing an energy effect. Like every action has an equal reaction. So this is energy being received into the body, into the energy fields, and the person is shaking because it's pushing up against something.
So are you aware that you can actually trigger people like that?
Absolutely.
You know that?
Yes, I've seen it for
Does
many
it
years.
happen every time, or is it...
Happens every time.
Every time?
Mm-hmm. Not with everybody in the audience, but there's always some people who have that reaction. Absolutely.
Very interesting. What does that tell you about the work that you do? Why do you think you had to go on this path? It's a very unusual path to suddenly be on, and now you travel all over the world, and you've been on a European tour here, and you've been traveling a lot for years. What do you experience going around to all of these interesting and exotic places?
I actually feel that this is what my soul has been called to do. This is what my mission is, if you like. I'd never expected it to be like that. My life, as I said, was very normal. I've been wife, mother, in corporate land with, doing normal work for many years. And then when I met the guide Balthazar, everything changed. It was really interesting because the day I did that workshop, the person taking the course said, "Your life will never be the same from this day forward." And it hasn't. And I guess you could ask, why do I do it? I do it because it brings me happiness. I see many people being supported and assisted and healed and restored and happier. You know, my spiritual guides always say to me, life is about being happy. Life should be, for everybody, about being happy and healthy. And I work with energies to help bring people into balance, whether it's physical balance or emotional balance or mental balance. But it goes more than that. It's more than that. It's really because we're at this very powerful and important time on the planet now, which is an ascension cycle. And what ascension really means is not going up or going anywhere. Ascension is about expanding into more of our human truth and our human potential. So all of the work, you could say, in the past 22 years, Lucas, has been about getting people ready. But I feel that the next 13 years are going to be pivotal, and they're going to be years of immense change, both within people and out there in the world. And I feel really excited because I can already see in this tour that I've been doing in Europe, which began in Dublin, London, Amsterdam, and now here in Copenhagen, I've seen the evolution of the energy that I've been bringing through, how it's changed, how it's got so much stronger. And I feel I'm working with new spectrums of energy.
People are more open to it now, right, than in the past.
Yeah, I think there's always been a core group of people that have been open, because I've never had to advertise. I've never had to get people along. You know, it's been easy. And everybody's wanted to come. It's not something I've had to try to change people's perceptions about. People feel the energy and they feel the changes in themselves. So that's fine. So it's never been, like you mentioned before, about how would I cope with people that said it was weird and a lot of rubbish. There probably are people that think that, but they've never said it to me yet.
You never encountered that?
Never encountered that.
Interesting.
No.
So the word ascension is used a lot. That word is used a lot, especially in the New Age movement. But what is the mission, the goal, let's say, the necessity for ascension or ascending?
Well, it's really because the human DNA code, our genetic code, is actually what's called a 12-strand DNA potential. And what this means is that as human beings, we were created to evolve and eventually operate as people in 12 dimensions of reality. At the moment, we don't, and this is probably something that's going to take hundreds, maybe thousands of years. But back in 2010, I was living in upstate New York, and I saw, well, a spaceship really. It looked like a big ball of light above the lake where I was living. And this energy from this ball of light came and it hit me in the throat and it just about knocked me over. And when I gathered myself together, I heard a voice speaking to me telepathically. And the voice said that he was the commander of a spaceship. This was like a landing craft just hovering above the lake.
A UFO?
It's probably a big mothership up there that I couldn't see, but I could see this smaller one.
Not a ship or
It was like a ball. It looked like an orb of light. Like energy hit me. And so the being who said he was the commander of the spaceship said that they, whoever they was, wanted to come and tell me a story. And they wanted me to write the story down and share it with people. So this is back in 2010. 2011, in January 2011, I was woken up again in early January by this big ball of light above the lake. And the voice said to me, okay, it's time to get up and begin to write. And so I got up, didn't really want to because it was cold and it was winter, but I made a cup of coffee and I sat down in front of the computer and I said, okay, what do you want me to write? And it was like taking dictation. It was so clear. I would receive the information paragraph by paragraph, just as if someone was speaking the words to me and all I had to do was write them down. And I wrote a whole book this way because I didn't really edit this book that much at the time. I just wrote. But the story began with the words, the dreamers. I found that interesting, the dreamers. And it was about a meeting of the Galactic Council of this Milky Way galaxy on a star called Antares around 100,000 years ago. And the council meeting was convened because the council members from different star nations like Pleiades, Sirius, Andromeda Galaxy, Lyra, Arcturus, etc., they were confronting a real problem. There was a problem concerning Earth. And the problem on Earth is that the existing beings on Earth could not be reached by forces of divine light, like God energy, if you like. They couldn't be upgraded. They couldn't be reached by spiritual, positive energy.
Why though?
Why? Because they did not have the required genetic code to be reached by this energy. Because if we go back even further still, we go back to a time when the Earth was called Tara, T-A-R-A. And Tara was fifth-dimensional Earth, beautiful, pristine planet. Tara, the name Tara actually means star. And so Tara was the Earth vibrating in a faster pulsating energy vibration, you see. And what happened is that there was a rebellion of what's called the rebellion of the fallen angels. Anyway, various rather dark extraterrestrial beings and forces came to the Earth, Tara as it was then, and over a very long period of time, the energies of Earth were contracted. It's like when we are having a bad day and we feel really angry or stressed, our energy contracts. When we're feeling high and loving, our vibration is
so
way
Tara,
up.
it's a
Tara.
it's the same kind of soil. It is this Earth, right?
It is this Earth, but Tara was vibrating in a faster pulsating energy environment.
So who are the malevolent ones? I know that you have chosen, or that you are only communicating with what you say benevolent aliens or extraterrestrials or whatever they are. But we have to also talk about the malevolent one, the darker forces that I would assume also would be part of this galactic council.
No, they were never part of the Galactic Council, because the Galactic Council is only made up of beings who are aligned with the law of one, the oneness, pure creation energy, the Elohim, the creator gods of this galaxy, you see. The ones of darkness are the ones that we know of, maybe the reptilians, the beings that have come to enslave the people of the Earth many eons ago, for example.
Are they the Draco from
Yeah.
the Draconians,
Yes, the
from the
Draconians.
Draco star
Yes.
system?
Yes, yes.
Why do they not speak through you? Have you never encountered them at all in your
I have been psychically attacked at times, twice.
by the reptilians?
I don't know, but by forces that don't want me to do what I'm doing, basically. Not seriously, but energetically. One was in New York, and I was doing energy healing, and I was renting an apartment in Manhattan, and I had a man come to me for healing, and he actually had throat cancer. So I'm a healer, so I tried to help him. But as I sat down to transmit information from him, what came out of my mouth really shocked me, because what was said was very strong voice came out of my mouth that said to this man, if you continue with your course of action, you will never be redeemed. I'd never say that to anybody, but that's what came out of my mouth really, really strongly.
But could that be a demonic force? What, well, Christians call it demons.
Wasn't him.
The Gnostics
Wasn't
call them
him.
the archons.
It was. It wasn't him, definitely, because when I did the energy work with him, and you know, this is going back 12, 13 years. I've learned a bit since then. I'm more protective of myself. But in those days, I wanted to help him. He had serious throat issues. He could barely speak. I feel that he was being used against his will, really. And so I was trying to help him. But I was standing in front of his throat doing energy work with his throat, and I could feel something going into me. And for 6 weeks, I was quite depressed. I felt really ill.
Like possessed by a demon?
Not possessed by a demon, just brought down. Like just not feeling myself, feeling ill, feeling tired, feeling a bit depressed, just not feeling my normal self at all. You know, and I did clear it eventually, but it made me very aware of what's actually out there.
How can you protect yourself from these things?
I do quite a lot of things. So one of the things that we must all understand is that we can all protect ourselves, because there is something called the law of higher will. I mean, when this man came to my apartment, I didn't really know what was coming, so I wasn't prepared. And I was a bit naive. I hadn't learnt enough about it. But now I know that what we can do to protect ourselves is not get into fear. Because fear is like a gateway in to our consciousness and into our energy fields. If we stand strong and we align with love, and we might say, with the power of God that I am love. Like, I will not receive, I will not connect with any beings who do not align with the light of God, the light of the One. We're not talking about religion here either when we talk about God. We're really just talking about pure, loving, high, peaceful creation energies.
God as in God, head or source?
Source.
Force.
God, source, they're the same really.
Mm-hmm. But why can we not say that about the whole planet? A lot of researchers, especially in the alternative field of truth research, and actually many people who've been talking about this for years, talk about these reptilian races who actually may be working with our governments around the world.
Yes.
And are part of enslaving the planet here, maybe also working with these entities called, some call, as I said, the archons, the Muslims call them the jinn, and could even be angels.
I feel that what you're saying is probably to a degree true. However, I also feel that we all have a choice. Every human being is or should be sovereign unto his or herself. And every human being has a choice as to where they put their attention and their intention, and whether they align with those energies or not.
But don't you think we have to face and see and uncover darkness and see where the problem is and see the world for what it is before we can work for the good? Because if we only work in a, let's say, in a new age way of thinking, in a very spiritually high vibrational, positive way, well, then maybe we will be well gagged.
I totally hear what you say, and I totally understand, and I know that many people will think that. But from where I sit, I actually see that if we rise above those energy vibrations and completely do not subscribe to that energy, that energy can't touch us. What I now notice for myself is that I am not psychically attacked anymore, because my vibration is not allowing for that to occur. And, you know, one of the easiest ways to clear this is a mantra that Spirit have taught me to stop any form of psychic attack. And it goes like this: Allium, Yamasenia, Krajnia, Melchior, Orionis.
We probably need that in writing.
Yeah, it is in writing, and I speak it, but it's in my online Ascension library. But it's Allium, Yamasenia, Krajnia, Melchior, Orionis. And you can say that 3 times. Allium, Yamasenia, Krajnia, Melchior, Orionis. Allium, yeah.
Is that a language?
That's a language. That's a language, but the energy sounds in this language put strong energy field of protection around people.
What language is that?
It's like source language. It's not of any particular extraterrestrial race. It's really source language. You see, all these beings within these 12-dimensional worlds of what's called the lower heavens. The lower heavens are the dimensions where consciousness, pure soul, can take on a physical form of expression, like be incarnated in a physical body of some kind, whether it's a human physical body on Earth or whether it's a Lyran physical body on 12-dimensional Lyra, because they vibrate faster. So all of these beings have their own languages, but they also speak this universal language of light, which I just spoke then.
Mm-hmm.
So
but if people should not focus on what is actually going on in the world, if they open themselves up to seeing a different or an alternative possible truth about what is happening in the world, what we do see is that the majority of people on the planet have to work very, very hard to make a living. Most of them are living in poverty. and it's not a very elevated or very beautiful planet. Well, there are beautiful things to see here, but a lot of people don't have the fortune to
be able to see it.
Or the financial possibilities.
Yes.
What can we do to...
What I've tried to do is that over the last 18 months, I've created an online Ascension library, and there's a free section in this library. It's ascensionlibrary.org, and there are a number of energy transmissions which will help open people into love, help people feel balanced and calm and just better within their being. It's all about energy. You see, because when we're out in the world, we're subjected to many electromagnetic energies. We have all this karmic stuff, all this past life baggage that we carry with us. We're afraid of reptilians, climate change. We're afraid of the future. There's so many people in fear. If we can change the vibratory state of our own energy fields, then we start to feel better, and we can start to see a way out. And we start to understand that the energy that we're vibrating at that may cause us to think in ways that is anxious or fearful, or we struggle in our lives. When we feel better and we're vibrating differently, then we start to see, I feel, that we can change. And I think that's what I try to teach people, to change how they think and how they feel. When we feel different, then we can plot a new course and chart a new path.
But why do the beings that you're channeling, why don't they ever talk about what is actually going on the planet, or maybe warning people about things, or just enlightening?
They do. I honestly feel that they do. I feel that that's why they're here. You know, they are here. I think there's a lot of coverage given to the dark ones, if you like, and not a lot of good news stories, basically, about the good guys. But they're totally here, and you know, there's a whole troop of light workers who do their work in different countries who totally believe that they're here and try to help people understand that.
But why can't they change the system then? If the Dracos or the reptilians or whoever they are, why can't they just remove them or fight the good fight and then change the system so that we have a different planet?
Okay, so I'm going to ask them that question and see what they say, okay? The ones that are speaking through me now are called the Elohim.
That's the Jewish word for God.
That's right. See, El is you're right, absolutely right. El is the Hebrew word that means God, and Elohim is plural, the gods. And really it's the energies of God creation here. And this is what they have to say about this. So they're saying that they've been observing the changes and the discord on Earth for some time. And they say it's very important now for people to realize that there is another way, that they are being supported, that there is a polarity. And it's most important for all of us to get out of our own way and begin to align with forces of peace, love, and oneness, which means co-creating together, which you're doing. You know, co-creating together. But as you quite rightly say, there's a lot of people who are locked into unfulfilling jobs, needing to survive financially. And for all of us on the planet, we are really all one global human family. Unfortunately, there are many people out there, corporations, big business, who they're totally locked into...
Run the show.
Yeah, run the show. There are. But you see, if we can get past the feeling that we can't do anything about it and actually become authentic and step into our truth and unite together as one, we can create global change. And we saw global change, we saw it happening here yesterday in Copenhagen with a march of, I think, 40,000 people who were protesting against climate change. And this global change march was actually initiated by a 16-year-old girl living in Sweden.
But some people researchers within this alternative field,
Yeah.
they claim or suggest that the climate crisis is also part of a New World Order plan orchestrated by these secret society elite families. Some call them the Illuminati, or just the high elite bankers and politicians working in Bilderberg groups and others, in order to create change, in order to change the laws, which get a lot of media exposure.
Yeah. And I think
what are your thoughts on that?
I think you may well be right. I don't know, because I'm only receiving the information that is coming from beyond the beyond. I'm receiving information coming from beings who are not aligned with those particular vibrations, you see. And what they say to me is that when we, as a collective group of people, stop aligning with the fear and begin aligning with the love and co-creation, we internally will change our own energy vibration. And it's like the 100 monkey principle. Then all the energy vibrations of all the people will unite and create change. And I know it seems a little bit simplistic, but I'm coming from 22 years of working with this energy, you see. So it's easy for me to say it. But I strongly feel that as we go into 2020, up until 2033, there will be forces of light and love and energy flooding to this planet to help make these changes.
Why the time span 2020 to 2033?
Okay, it's interesting because these are sacred numbers. 20 is a number, very powerful number of opening and awakening. 33 is also Christ consciousness number. This is 13 years. 13 is also a very powerful spiritual number.
Numerology, and also in the esoteric,
yes, exactly,
knowledge.
As is 22, you see. So I just know because I've had 22 years of being told. So
they told you, the beings you're channeling,
yes,
that it's the time span 2020 to 2033.
Yes.
Okay.
That is a major, what's called a major ascension wave.
Can you ask them, whoever will speak through you now, can you ask them if the planet, we are now in May 2019, can you ask them if the planet is in danger, or if there is actually this major crisis that we have to be really careful? Are we destroying ourselves at the moment?
They say yes, but they say you will not be allowed to destroy your planet. Your planet will not be destroyed because people will change, because there's very strong catalytic energy which is beginning to stream into Earth now and will get stronger from 2020 to 2033, which is about change. And this very strong energy is energies of ascension, which is not going up or going anywhere. It's energies that are going to activate change within people, in terms of who we are, how we think and feel, how we operate in the world, change within our physical body structures, and change out there in our communities.
But why don't you think that the political system is the one that is actually supposed to change, and that it could change the world? The financial structure, how everybody is kept in poverty, in this, let's just say, collective mind control. In a way, the political system, it's full of secret societies and political think tanks, and there's this massive media manipulation and, well, indoctrination also going on.
I agree. You know, we're in polarity. People, every soul, every human being is being asked whether they align with fear, domination, control, or whether they align with love, peace, oneness.
When we talk about the climate march yesterday, which was a massive outpouring of people, they are actually walking past the Royal Library where you were having your lecture. That is, of course, based on fear. That is the energy of fear that has been portrayed, of course, in the media, and people want to do something to change because they fear that the planet will go under, or?
Well, but perhaps they are afraid, and I don't know whether people are in Scandinavia. But also I think people were coming together out of solidarity and wanting to do something, and that is a really good start. And you know, when we talk about politics, there are people in politics that are really working hard to change the system. I come from New Zealand, and the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, is an amazing woman and very loving woman and very conscious and evolved, and I think she's doing a wonderful job. So yes, there is the good and the bad in every aspect of society, and I think we are in a big shake-up right now. And I think this shake-up is going to continue over the next probably 13 years. And I think every single person, every single individual is going to be on a deeper level of being, really asked to either shape up or ship out, probably. Mm-hmm. When I say ship out, I'm not saying they're going to die, but I mean, people will be increasingly affected by the energies coming into the planet, and this is going to make people either align with right or not.
So do you think that, let's just say, this new world order agenda will be exposed more and will be changed for the better?
I think so, and we see the change makers out there, and every part of our society we see change makers, and they're often younger people, because the younger people, particularly those who are born after, say, 1990 and particularly after 2000, are not going to stand for all this, what's been going on, domination and control.
Even though they're being indoctrinated even more and more through the media and with all the electronic devices they're addicted to these days, huh?
Do you feel, see, I don't know enough whether they're being indoctrinated. I would like to think that they're actually questioning what's actually going on and making up their own minds about it.
More truths are coming out.
I agree. And you see, it's important, like your show, The Age of Truth. You're having people on the show who are speaking their truth, and hopefully everybody will start to question what they're being conditioned and indoctrinated to believe.
And every guest is always different.
Yes.
They always speak their own truth, which may be very different from the previous guest.
Yeah.
So what is always interesting to uncover or try to search for is, what is the truth in all of it? Or is all of it part of a truth? Or what is real information, what is misinformation, and what is disinformation?
Yes, well, I think every speaker obviously believes in their own truth. Otherwise, they wouldn't be passionate about it.
Do you have any sense or any feeling that disinformers let's say on an astral plane could sometimes or occasionally be speaking through you?
No, I don't have that fear. In the past, I might have had that fear going back about 15 years or more ago. And when I was psychically attacked, I really had to question what was coming through, because I didn't want what I was doing to be corrupted in any way. But I don't feel that now, because what I feel in my body all the time is a very strong vibration of love and joy and peace now. Most of the time, I'd say 95% of the time. And I feel the energy. So I know that, I feel that I have somehow overridden the threshold where that could happen. I think Spirit of Train, they prepared me for a long period of time to work with many different frequencies and many different dimensions. And I honestly don't have that concern anymore. Mainly also because I see the positive outcome that the energy work has with people. And that's honestly been my only, over the long period of time I've done this, my only benchmark has been the effect on others. If people didn't have a good effect, I would never be doing this.
But a lot of times in the New Age movement, which of course has been going on since at least the 60s, it's been about good, and we must never talk about the bad stuff, meditating all the time. And some people suggest that this is part of a psyop, like also a CIA implanted psychological operation, just a different form of
brainwashing.
Brainwashing, really.
In a way. Well, yeah. I think it comes back to every person tuning into what is going on, with being the arbiter of what is their own truth. It's most important that we all do this, and I would never say to anybody, force a truth on them. It's everybody's experience, and then we choose what we feel. See, what I try to do a lot of is teach people how to feel with the heart what their own truth is, because it's not about me saying something and expecting people to believe it. I don't. I feel that every being, every person, I think to be really happy, we have to learn to feel what our own truth is. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing in our society today, because we're all really busy. We've all been conditioned and indoctrinated. We're drugged down or damped down by electromagnetic pollution, maybe even tampering with our energy fields and our energy circuits.
Which actually is leading me to a very important topic at the moment here in 2019, the implementation of 5G and 5G masts all over the world. Although certain places like the former EU capital, Brussels, yes, Canada, and even a few southern states in America and Africa, they've said no to this. Good. But here in Scandinavia and most places in the world, they've all said yes to have 5G all over, put up all over. And everybody in the Danish parliament said yes to it, except for a few selected politicians who went their own way and spoke against it. What are your thoughts on this electromagnetic radiation and these electromagnetic fields that can, as you just suggested, perhaps tamper with our DNA structure?
I am totally opposed to 5G for the reason I've been an energy healer and working with energy, not just with sound energy, but also with my hands for many years. And my original form of training was physiotherapy, so I've always been working with the human body. And I absolutely know, because we're energy beings, we have a physical body, of course, but we also have an energy field that stretches out about 3 feet around our body. If we are having bombardment of disharmonious energy frequencies into our field, we are going to be affected with our health, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. You know, and we're already affected by microwaves, pollution in our atmosphere, you know, chemtrails. It's so, I just can't understand how any right-thinking human being could allow it, to be honest.
And our cells, even our body, everything is made out of atoms.
Yes.
And atoms have no solidity. No.
They're partly particle, waveform, and partly structure. So you're quite right. And so on an atomic level of our bodies, energy that we are bombarded with is going to affect our atomic structure. And what is within every cell of our body? Our DNA.
Could there be a plan behind 5G that is connected to AI, artificial intelligence, which is something they talk about a lot these days as well?
I can't really answer that because I really don't know. It's possible. I don't know. Because I work with this camp over here, the loving ones. Mm-hmm. And I don't really get into the conspiracy theories or the dark forces, even though I've had that experience from my own past. Because when I put my attention or intention or attention on those energies, that gives those energies a foothold into my energy and into my being and into my energy field. So I rise above those vibrations, and then they can't touch me.
Even 5G and the electromagnetic pollution, that cannot harm you.
Well, I'm not saying it can't, but I'm going to do something about it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some energy transmissions and put them in my Ascension library, in the free section of my Ascension library, so that people can listen to those transmissions and be supported against 5G. Because I know that I can make it.
It has to do with being aware of it, talking about it, understanding that this is something that affects insects, birds, and of course people. And you see an increase, so many people dying of cancer, more and more.
I know. So we know why. So what I can do to help with this is not lobby against 5G, because nobody's going to listen to me, but make an energy transmission that may support people to give them some form of protection against these frequencies.
You spoke about a friend dying of electromagnetic radiation, right? Yesterday at your lecture.
Yes, he didn't die, but this is my nephew, and he actually developed a brain tumor. He was only 22 because he'd been working in a restaurant in front of a microwave oven for 2 or 3 years, just cutting things up, but the microwave was right behind him, and he developed a brain tumor. He survived, he's great now, but yes.
So he's been healed?
Yes, he's been healed.
Oh, that's a good story though, huh?
It's a really good story.
Very good story.
Yes, but the learning around it is don't stand in front of a microwave oven, because it's putting out vibration, frequency.
And now it's mandatory to have smart meters put up in your home.
It's so interesting, yes.
Along with all of the Wi-Fi and of course the computers and telephones that we have to our ear all the time.
Exactly. Is
there a way that we can shield ourselves spiritually, if nothing else? That's maybe more in your line of work.
What I don't have it on at the moment, but I do wear an energy protector around my neck, like a little medallion. I got that from a company in New Zealand called Life Energy Designs, and that protects me. But if you Google on the internet, there's many products out there to protect us from cell phone radiation or protect our personal energy space from radiation. And I wear those, and I try not to go through airport scanners to have the pat down. And
you opt out.
I opt out. And I fly a lot on aeroplanes, so I know the radiation in aeroplanes is pretty hard on the body. So you do need a period of grounding. You've got to really drink a lot of green drinks, ground your body, walk barefoot on the earth to bring your energy back into alignment with the Schumann frequencies of the earth.
How important is a body cleanse? You talk a lot about a karmic cleanse as well. But how physically, a body cleanse or let's say a juice fast or a water fast, what can you recommend?
I think cleansing is very important, and I do cleanse my body about 3 or 4 times a year. I do think it's very important, because what it does is it clears toxins from the body so that we can come back into balance, because we can't, we get dragged down by the pollutants in our society, from the food and from our environment, and it's important to sort of have a rest and clear the engines, so to speak, every now and again.
How do you do it?
Like a spring clean. How do I do it?
Yes.
I eat raw fruits and vegetables, and I take a lot of spirulina, green spirulina, and chlorella powder, any greens, because the interesting thing about it is that the chlorophyll molecule, which is the green pigment in plants, is the chlorophyll molecule, and it is very similar to the hemoglobin molecule in blood, except in chlorophyll it's magnesium, and in hemoglobin the central aspect of the molecule is iron. But they're the same, basically. And so with this energy that's now streaming into Earth from this place that I call as beyond the beyond, it's getting stronger and stronger. Our bodies are changing to a degree. We need to eat more a plant-based diet because the earth has shifted to the faster pulsating energy of the fifth dimension. And because it's vibrating in the fifth dimension, the plants that are grown in the earth are what are going to really nurture our body more, particularly in sunlight, with high life force energy. So I would eat sprouts. Parsley is an amazing vegetable because parsley cures, heals many, many diseases when you eat big handfuls of it.
How about ginger and
Ginger's great
turmeric?
too. Ginger, I eat ginger. I eat turmeric. Turmeric is a great anti-inflammatory. And I would probably, in fact, I'm going to be going back to Australia in about 2 weeks, and I'm absolutely going on a fast, which you need to do after you've been flying and traveling and eating all the wrong foods.
Good advice.
Yeah.
You also, of course, talk about reincarnation a lot, and that we have had many lifetimes on this planet Earth, but even in other dimensions or on other planetary star systems.
Yes.
But do you know anything about soul contracts? Do you think we can change our soul contracts if we actually made one before going back into a new body on this planet, again, not remembering our past life?
Yes. I do feel that we can change our soul contract. You see, what that really means is that before we came into this life, we might have decided, I want to do X. And then we get here and we have free will as human beings, you see. We don't have to align with our soul contract. That's just like a blueprint, a template for what our soul might have decided it wanted to achieve through our physical vessel. But yes, I feel that we can change the soul contract by our will, by doing things differently.
So what do you think happens when we die? A lot of people, of course, all religions talk about a heavenly realm. And when we listen to near-death experiencers, they all practically say the same, that they see a tunnel of light, going into a frequency of light, a wonderful feeling, seeing dead relatives looking their best. Yeah. Then they see a life review, and then whatever they believe in, whether it's God, Jesus, Muhammad, or Buddha, that will appear in front of them, or just a being of light, talking about what have you done with your life, and then possibly asking them to go back to planet Earth. Is this a soul harvesting karma wheel illusion, a deception created by these other worldly beings, archons, jinns, demons, you name it, in order to keep the souls, human being souls, on the planet, going back again and again, recycled, and not being able to remember who they were in their past lives?
See, I totally agree. I totally hear, and I totally know that there are a lot of people who believe in the demons and the archons, etc., etc. But I don't. I don't, because my only experience of spirit has been high, loving, benign, of God, Jesus, I feel the beauty and the truth and the joy and the light of spirit and spiritual forces. So I have absolutely no knowledge and experience of the demonic side, the dark ones, the reptilians, the greys, any of them.
But you said yesterday at your lecture, there cannot be change without chaos.
Yes, that's
Good
true.
and bad.
We see
Yin and
it.
yang.
It's out there in our world, isn't it? You see chaos. But I also see that there's change. There is change. We see people standing in their truth. We see people being authentic. If we were all able to do that, we'd be changing our reality in a moment, in a day. If everybody subscribed with love and goodwill and doing the right thing by people, the earth would change immediately, and our life on earth would change immediately. So the death thing, I don't really know, because I've forgotten my last one. But I do know from two perspectives. One is that I did have past life regression when I was in my 30s. And I went through a death experience twice in that past life regression.
What did you see?
It was amazing. The first time I ever did it, I must have been about 32, and I went to a naturopath to consult him about something, and he put a crystal on my heart chakra, a quartz crystal, and he said, breathe into the crystal. So I breathed into the crystal, and I flipped into a life that I'd had in Ireland in the 1840s, I think during the potato famine. And I was a woman, and I used to go into the village and help the villagers, because I think I was the lady of the manor or something in that life, but I didn't like what was being done to the people. So I went into the village to sort of help them, tried to, I think. But what really struck me is that I was speaking during this regression in like a lilting Irish brogue, and accent. I could never do that in a million years with my New Zealand accent. So that really convinced me that that was true. But the death experience that I had in that lifetime felt amazing. Felt like warm, fuzzy.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, really
and
great.
All the near-death experiences basically say that.
Yeah,
that it's an enormous feeling of joy and bliss and peace and beauty.
Yes.
But what if that is an
illusion?
An illusion, a constructed deception in order to keep the souls within this matrix, this grid around Earth, possibly created by either these archons or the reptilians. Because if there are good ones, the ones that you speak to, there are bad ones, and you know that as well.
Oh, I know that. But it's just like there's good people and there's bad people. There's good ETs and there's bad ETs. But I just want to tell you one more story that I think might convince everybody. 3.5 years ago, my partner died of cancer. And he was a wonderful man. And I was with him through the whole death experience. He was conscious right to the time he took his last breath. And as he took his last breath, I just felt so much joy and so much love come into the room. It was quite amazing. And it stayed for the whole 12 hours that we were there with his body. And then later, when he was cremated, I sat with him while I watched the coffin going into the flames. And as the coffin went into the flames, this energy went through me. It felt like this rushing wave of energy. It went through my body and it went out and out and out and out and out into the universe. And I felt that he was just flying out into the universe. His soul was flying. But it didn't feel sad. It felt amazing, really incredibly happy. And I felt, it felt wonderful. Of course, I missed him. Of course, sad, very sad. Later, I was crying and things, but at the time I just felt incredible. And I kept saying to him over and over, I feel I was channeling these words, and the words were, Lee, you're expanding into the absolute magnificence of your soul. It's just going to be so wonderful. And I kept saying that over and over and over in the last 12 hours of his life. And he heard me because he was totally conscious the whole time. But I couldn't stop myself saying that. I just felt that this remarkable transformation was happening to him.
Beyond death.
Beyond what we perceive as death, disintegration. It felt like he was transforming in the most incredible way, actually.
And the soul is infinite consciousness.
Yes. That he was going to this place of great light.
Mm-hmm. Which is what most people talk about. Mm. But can we decide when we leave to go beyond the earthly realm, or maybe beyond this matrix or some people talk about a grid around Earth, that is also one theory.
I feel that we can.
And go to another star system, the ones maybe that you are communicating with or elsewhere, so we don't have to go back to this planet.
I feel that he did, because I felt very strongly that he was going to this place that I now receive the energy from, called Beyond the Beyond. Which, when I talk about beyond the beyond, I'm talking about beyond this Milky Way galaxy. I'm talking about a grouping of 22 galaxies which are configured together in a vast multi-galactic diamond-shaped grouping. all of these 22 galaxies are aligned with the oneness that we call God or creation energy. But I feel that there's a new type of creation energy now streaming to the planet, which is going to get stronger from 2020 to 2033, because that's a massive wave of ascension, transformation for us as people and for the earth. And so this energy that's coming from beyond the beyond, from the heart center or the galactic center of the 22 galaxies, is like God expanded. It's very powerful, and I feel that, you know, we can look at what's been going on in the earth for eons, you know, thousands and thousands of years, but we're now at a new time. You know, the Hopi Indians talk about this fifth great age, this age of illumination, this age of light. And in my experience, I feel that I have been working with this light. There's a lot of people working with this light. Many people call themselves light workers because they understand that there is a new light, a new way, a new beginning for us. And in 13 years' time, if I'm wrong, I'm going to have to eat my words. But I don't think I am, because I've got 22 years of experience of being upgraded to speak these stronger and stronger energy words of new creation, which they are now. And I know I'm not wrong.
So the white light that people go to when they die,
yes,
is not a deception, in your opinion?
Not
you
at
think?
all. Not at all. This is God oneness. We are part of that oneness. We are part of that light. We always have been, and we always will be. And all these reptilians, greys, dracons, whatever, they're not going to stop this. God is more powerful than any forces out there. And as soon as human beings realize that this is just a control game that they're playing, and get into the heart and get into co-creation and join together in harmony and unity and do something about harmful electromagnetic domination and control, the better we're all going to be.
You've said that the Earth is a school, a learning process, that we're all here for a reason.
Yes.
Do you think that all of our lives, past lives and present life, maybe future lives, exists at the same time, because time doesn't exist beyond the 3 dimensions?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that, because I know that there is linear time, but from my knowledge and my writings, I also know that there is what's called space-time, where all time exists as one. So I can't really say, because I'm sitting from the perspective, I'm talking from the perspective right now. My understanding is from the perspective of a human person sitting here and being in this dimension. But what I do know and I do see is that time seems to be speeding up. And when I live my life, I can't remember so easily yesterday or even what I did 4 hours ago. It's like I'm more living in a now time.
But if time is not linear, and if it doesn't exist beyond the 3-dimensional world that we live in, then we would exist in all of these past and future lives at this very same time.
We could say that, but on this perspective, in this human realm, time is still linear, changing but linear, and those bodies from the souls in those bodies and those other times that existed in linear time on Earth, those bodies do not exist. The soul exists, and the soul is in a new body, but the soul has an Akashic record, like a cellular memory. So a energy component of those previous lifetimes vibrates with the soul, and that comes with each new incarnation. When I wrote my book, I was given a lot of information, and what they said in the book, and I don't know whether it's true because I just wrote it, is that in the star nations of these 12 dimensions where consciousness can take on a physical form, there is what they call, they have 3 time periods of the day and divided into 10 hours. So they're called decans. And so there are 30 decans in a day, in their days. So they're slightly longer days, and they're just different.
What would some of these entities that you channel, what would they say about time and the possibility of past and the present existing simultaneously? Would you be able to contact the
they'll say something now.
Or
so, so they're saying you're partly right, we're partly right, but we're partly wrong. They're saying that in their particular environmental worlds, say the energy fields around 5th dimensional or 6th dimensional Sirius, for example, or 12th dimensional Lyra, this is like an envelope of energy. Within that envelope of energy, they work with the universal star nation cosmic time of decans, which is like a 30-hour cosmic day, because they're trying to standardize it, they're trying to keep it aligned, because they all have to intercommunicate from one dimension to another. So they work with this but it's different within each envelope of light, because each vibratory state is different. Like the environmental envelope of light, the dimensional belt, if you like, around Lyra is different from Sirius. When they travel interdimensionally, they have a way of transposing their physical bodies and their spaceships, the physical bodies inside the spaceships, so that they move from one dimension completely into another dimension. It's like a dematerializing and a rematerializing. It's very advanced. They say it's very advanced.
But
technology.
Do they actually need spaceships? A lot of them can travel interdimensionally, right? Through wormholes or portals.
They say that they do need spaceships because they do travel interdimensionally. They can go in something like a travelator, a bit like a elevator, where you go inside a box, a bit like Doctor Who.
Yeah, but isn't like the more lower level aliens, so to speak?
Ascended masters or angelic beings, they don't have a physical body like you and me. The star nations of the 12 dimensions do have a physical body.
And they need a spaceship.
They need a spaceship, or they can also go in this, it's like a travelator, where they go inside and they code for where they want to go, and their whole body transforms, dematerializes, and is transported. A bit like, has been experimented with on Earth, we know. So they do have these technologies, very advanced technologies, but usually they would go in big spaceships because they want to transport a lot of people all together, and that's easier.
How come most people can't see these UFOs, these spaceships?
That's because they put up a vibratory force field around them.
Transparency or a cloak?
It's like a cloak.
Invisibility cloak.
They're cloaked. If they want to show themselves, they could, but they don't want to create fear, and they don't want to be chased by a lot of fighter planes, and they're just watching and observing right now. They don't, there's too much mistrust and misalignment. They're there. I mean, the governments of our planet know they're there. Mm-hmm. We know that people in government know this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Possibly even working with some of them.
Probably.
So could two or more people who would be standing in a field or just about anywhere, and if they saw a spaceship, could one of them see it and the other one not be able to see it?
I think that's very likely.
Do you think it depends on the vibration or the frequency of the person? It
could depend on the vibration or the frequency of the person. It could also be that person A, who can see it, part of their soul contract or their soul purpose is to be able to see it. Because I feel that we may be, and I don't know, but I feel in the next few years more people may be increasingly contacted by benevolent star beings. Because I feel that in my workshops, what I've noticed is that there are more people who are aligned with galactic or extraterrestrial energies, say. Now, that they really respond to these energy frequencies that I'm bringing through. So I feel that a lot of people are opening up to a purpose in that regard, which has yet to be unveiled, really.
It's, you know, typically and often ridiculed enormously every time somebody's talking about these things. And of course, the idea of conspiracy theories is of course also ridiculed massively. But if somebody would suddenly see an alien appear in front of them, they would probably be very, very scared.
Yes, I think so. I don't know how I'd feel either. You know, I didn't feel scared when I saw the tall beings of light at my energy healing class. I felt completely overwhelmed and completely validated, actually. I thought it was wonderful because, you know, I'm told these things and I feel these things and I shake with the energy, but it was really good to be able to actually visibly see it.
Please talk about lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming.
Do you know anything about lucid dreaming, or have you had these experiences yourself?
I saw a lot of people all gathered together in looked like a big church. And they were all waiting to hear somebody speak. And I was there with all the people, just milling around with them, and I said to somebody, "Who is going to speak?" And the person said, "Oh, she's just a normal woman."
You?
Yeah, and then I looked up and I saw myself speaking. I was just in the crowd, you see. I was asking, who is this going to speak? So I don't know, this is a long time ago now. This was 1998 that I had these series of dreams.
And you were in a dream state at this time.
I was in a dream state.
And did it feel real? Did you feel that you could navigate in this like a computer game, or was it? Did you know that you were dreaming?
Well, I was semi-awake because I was listening for the bell to get up at 4 a.m. You see, so I was semi-awake, and it was just in the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes before I had to get up. I wasn't creating it; I was observing it. It was like a series of pictures unfolding in my mind. It was like a dream, but I could remember it. In fact, I had to, in Vipassana, you're not allowed to write anything down, so I deliberately remembered it.
Felt differently from regular dreams?
Well, regular dreams you don't tend to remember often, but this, I deliberately went through it again in my mind when I woke up so that I could remember it. I probably would not have remembered it if I hadn't done that.
Do you think it's an important exercise for people in general to try and focus on these lucid dreams in order to be better at meditation or concentration, or maybe you have an answer to that?
I actually think I think dreams can really, they're the guidance of our higher self, they're the guidance of our soul, and they can tell us a lot about our life and maybe changes that we need to make in our life. Sometimes they talk about the future, sometimes they show us, they're like Wayshower, they're showing us the way. So I think it's quite good to have a little notebook by the bed and to write down any dreams, because they often can be very interesting, helpful to us when we have to make decisions.
How about mindfulness? What do you feel about mindfulness and how people can use that?
Oh, I think mindfulness is amazing, and I think I think people are very busy in our world today. We're all very busy. And to have periods of meditation of where you're just sitting and you're not thinking, you're just being. You're just, the one that I do and work with at times is Anapanasati meditation. Anapanasati meditation is where you just sit and you close your eyes and you don't do anything, think anything, you're not reciting a mantra. All you're doing is you're observing your breath. So it's designed to get you deep into yourself. It's designed to relax the mind so that the promptings of the soul, the higher self, can come forward.
Great. You of course talked about karmic cleansing, but you also mentioned karmic energy distortion.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, you know, we've had all these past lives, all of us had. So if we have a traumatic, a very strong traumatic experience in past life, say we were killed for something we didn't do, then we will take the energy memory of that strong experience. You know, we might have felt anger because we were killed because we, you know, did something. Or we might have felt real fear. So whatever the emotion is that we felt and created at that time, that is what I call karmic miasmic patterning. Emotion is just energy in motion. So that set of emotions will become part of our soul's Akashic records. And when we are born into this physical body in this lifetime, that whole set of energy recordings comes with the soul. And these energy resonances can strongly affect our thinking, our beliefs, our decisions in this current lifetime. And they can actually draw to us our parents, our situation that we need to work through and overcome from life in this next lifetime, you see. But not only that, the energy projections of other people can also cling on us. It's a bit like Klingons. So the energy projection of other people from a past life can impact us today. Say someone's been very dominating and controlling, then we will be afraid to speak out. It's like that other person's energy comes with us, is morphed into the energy fields of our soul from lifetime to lifetime. So what I do is I speak energy words that clear that stuck energy, and then people can move beyond those limitations and those sabotaging belief systems. And in my library, again, I've got lots and lots of audio tracks that do that.
And that's also almost like changing your soul contract in a way, isn't it?
It is. But you see, we don't really have a soul contract. I feel that we have a soul's purpose, and we are not locked into that purpose. It's an overriding desire to accomplish or experience or do something in the lifetime. And it might be to do with changing old patterns of karmic reaction that have limited or sabotaged us in the past. It could be to do with that. That could be our purpose. Our purpose in this life may be learning about love. Our purpose in this life may be being kind and loving and compassionate to other people because you've been a Nazi, maybe in Auschwitz in the last life. Maybe you have to redress that. See? It's all, and so karma really is, it's called the law of cause and effect because it's like there's always a reversal, you see, from lifetime to lifetime. Karma is not really a punishment. Karma is just an energy. So the energy that we had in the past life, we bring into this life. We can expand on it by the good deeds that we do in this life, or we can go the wrong way. That's our choice, and that's what gives all human beings free will. But if, for example, we did something really bad in the past life, then we do have an opportunity to right that wrong.
But if we have free will, can we choose not to go back? Which is going back to the question of what happens when we die. Can we choose not to be in this karma wheel, reincarnation, let's say recycling of so? If one believes that, can we choose to go to source? Call it God, Godhead, God mind, whatever.
I feel that we can, but the whole purpose of life on the planet, and life on Earth is actually a privilege really, is to evolve on a soul level. So if a soul was to sit on their hands in the higher heavens for a while and be too scared to come back to Earth, there would be no real evolution for that soul, because it's only, you know, this is the best place for our souls to learn wisdom.
Not on another planet with more harmony.
No, because there's nothing to butt up against on the other planet with more harmony. There's no testing situations that are going to develop strength, character, wisdom in that soul.
So the soul is not complete. When our souls leave the body, the soul is not complete. It still has to learn.
No, the soul is always complete. It was complete from the moment it's separated from the Godhead. At the moment of the soul's inception, it was complete. But the purpose of life really is for all souls to gain soul wisdom and then return to the oneness. And that can take a long, long time, probably. And Earth is probably one of the hardest schools to learn these lessons in, because we forget from lifetime to lifetime.
Speaking of Earth, you talk about an inner Earth civilization.
Yes.
And inner Earth beings. You've called them the watchers of inner Earth. Do you believe that there's a civilization inside of a hollow Earth? And what is that civilization like? Is there, like what some people say, an inner sun and everything is kind of bliss?
Well, I don't really know, because I haven't personally been there. However, I've read a lot about it, and I know about the hollow Earth teachings. And I've also read about Admiral Byrd's testimony when he flew in to the hollow Earth.
In Antarctica.
Yes, and also there's a lot of knowledge that I have about the Lemurian civilization of Mu, many of those beings who went into the hollow Earth.
But they were reptilian, weren't they?
I don't know, I do not agree.
You don't agree?
I don't agree they were reptilian.
Really?
Not at all. I feel that the Lemurians, the people of Mu, were very highly evolved. I feel the Atlanteans were more like a mixed bag.
Some people say, some researchers say that the Atlanteans were like the Nordics, or maybe the Lyrians who went to the Pleiades and then came to Earth, and that the Draco or the Draconians, the reptilian aliens, went to Lemuria.
I do not agree. Mm-hmm. My understanding is that the Atlantis was settled by the Pleiadians. And so was Mu, Lemuria. The beings of Mu were very high beings of light. So were the original Atlanteans, but we're going back about 100,000 Earth years here. Over a long period of time, with the many Atlantean islands, there was misuse of energy, like there is on the planet today. Corruption, domination, genetic manipulation.
Are we, human beings, Homo sapiens, a genetic manipulated race?
Yes.
Why we have the reptilian brain
we
as
don't.
well?
We do not have. We don't have. We were created by God creators, and we were created with the best of the genetic code of star nations within this galaxy, like the Sirians, the Pleiadians, the ones who are aligned with oneness, light, and God. We were created by them to seed the earth with the more advanced DNA, because 100,000 years ago, when this galactic council that I was talking about met on Antares, there was the problem because the existing beings on Earth, who their ancestors had been here at the time of Tara, probably about 600, 700, 600, I say, 1,000 years ago. And their ancestors were not human, they were humanoid. They did not have what we have within our human brain, which is the pineal gland. So they couldn't be connected to by spiritual forces. And so there were definitely harmful extraterrestrial races, a bit like opportunists who came to this planet, who maybe enslaved the original beings on Earth, some of them, mining for gold and that sort of thing. There was definitely that went on. So there was a problem 100,000 years ago because those beings could not be advanced. They couldn't be connected to by forces of light, forces of love, forces of spirit, forces of divine. So this new human race was created. We're genetically engineered, but not by the bad guys, by the good guys. And our human DNA has so much more potential than we know. You see, and now this time on the planet, this time of ascension, this time of transformation, this is the switching on of more of this genetic potential within human beings. But this is good stuff. This is about healing. This is about activating mind power capacities for the good of the planet and for the good of the people on this planet.
Do you know if any of the physical beings that you are in contact with, those who can manifest physically on whatever plane they are, do you know if they have a reptilian lizard brain like we do?
Well, we all do. They don't.
Also they?
No, they don't.
So why do we have it?
We have it because we came to this planet as souls. We decided to come and take into our own genetic code the human DNA. So we came to be born as a human on the earth. Probably we had Pleiadian or Sirian parents, but when we were born on the earth, we had to stay on earth for all the long period of time to be born and reborn, you know, to go through many life and death experiences in human form. But because we also inherited the DNA of the existing beings of the earth, because now all humans are...
And the existing beings were reptilian?
No, they're not reptilian. They were created much more evolved, but because of the fall of Tara, there was a regression in their genetic makeup, in their capacity to be replicated. The image that they had as beings, which were not human beings, humanoid type beings, could not be reached by divine replication image forces. They didn't have the required crystal chip, the pineal gland, to be reached, you see. So gradually over a long period of time, the similitude, the image that they were holding disintegrated. It's a bit like, instead of evolving, they went into entropy cycle. Instead of going into an evolution cycle, they went into an entropy cycle. And over a long period of time, several 100,000 years, the beings who were left here, after probably many cataclysms and upheavals, were almost barbaric. They're totally barbaric.
But how does that explain the reptilian brain?
In us, because as humans, we also have an aspect of that.
Fight or flight.
We have that, but we also have an aspect of the original DNA of the people who were here 100,000 years ago. Because we're all, over this long period of time, all human beings have the human DNA and the original Earth DNA.
What is the original Earth DNA according to you?
The original Earth DNA is the DNA of the existing beings on Earth at the time when the Earth was Tara, which regressed in its capacity to perform and became what we might call primitive. But really, we have this lizard brain here at the back of the head, which is not really primitive, it's more primeval, as in beginning, you see. But the human DNA was created deliberately, genetically engineered, and this has now become part of who we are.
But it's creating conflict within us and together.
Why?
Wars or wanting, needs, fight or flight. That is the whole...
But you see, the fight or flight, I know what you mean by the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain is called that, but it's not really, we're not really talking about the reptilians. We're talking about the original primeval lizard reptilian brain, right? And this is automatic responses. I feel that the automatic responses may have been a fear residue, a bit like the karmic miasmic patterning that I'm talking about, but a fear residue, like a karmic fear that is vibrating in us from that time when we may have been enslaved, when we may have been these poor, repressed beings on the earth. There's definitely a karmic memory there that is part of our reptilian brain, which goes on automatic, like automatic play, when we have problems in our life.
You are visiting Bosnia a lot these days, it seems, and you're talking about the Bosnian pyramids. Are they connected to the Egyptian pyramids and the pyramids in South America? Are they real?
Yes, they're real. And the reason I know they're real is because been on the Pyramid of the Sun. There's actually 5 pyramids on the Visoko Valley near Sarajevo, about 40 minutes drive from Sarajevo. The Pyramid of the Sun, they're called the Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, Earth, Dragon, Love. And they were named those names by the man who discovered these pyramids, Dr. Samuel Manigich. And there's a lot of bad press on the internet about this, because a lot of scientists don't want to think that there might be truth out there that is not what they might believe. But from my own personal perspective, I've been to Bosnia for 3 years in a row. I have seen the slabs of concrete, which are not nature-made concrete, they're actually man-made concrete, that if you dig down about 1 metre or 2 metres on the Pyramid of the Sun, in many places on the Pyramid of the Sun you're going to hit this concrete. The vegetation on the Pyramid of the Sun, 220 metres high, is different to the vegetation around it, because the trees have just grown over many thousands of years in shallow soil. You don't get the long tap roots going down through the concrete. And also, one of these slabs of concrete had a little fossilized leaf underneath it, which was carbon dated and found to be 30,000 to 34,000 years old.
So they're not natural objects.
No.
They're not mountains.
They look like
mountains.
They look like mountains. They totally look like mountains. But whether they were mountains that have been sheathed by concrete, because they're so ancient, this is 34,000 years since this was presumably constructed, over that period of time, things change.
And you can go inside, right?
You can't go inside the pyramids, but you can go inside tunnels which lead towards and possibly under the Pyramid of the Sun. And these are called the tunnels of Ravne. And when you go inside these tunnels, you feel the energy really strongly. It's very strong and powerful life force energy, measured in something called Bovis units. And normal human positive life force energy to remain healthy is 6,500 Bovis units. And so at places in these tunnels of Ravne, it's up to 40,000 Bovis units. One place that I sat in a couple of weeks ago was 55,000 Bovis units or higher. And you feel the energy because it's very regenerating and healing to the body. And, you know, I found myself swaying. Anybody that's energetically sensitive will feel it, will be sensitive to it, and everybody feels better when they sit in the tunnels. Pretty interesting. As
a wayshower, what is your most important message for people to know, to understand? What is the message that you want to give to people right now? You use the term be in joy to enjoy.
Yes. Well, you see, joy is an expansion of the love vibration. Coming back to what Jesus said 2,000 years ago, he said, love is the key and the way. What he was really talking about is that when we consciously generate the energy of love, just by thinking love and feeling love and creating love, this changes our own vibration. Then we become immune to forces of domination and control, brainwashing that might want to affect us. We can consciously create this emotion of love. The way I teach it is to ask people to create a magenta pyramid of peace, love and joy. But really it's just about putting your hand on your heart and deliberately creating the feeling of love. That vibratory state that we then create and resonate with in the cells of the body and in the energy field of the body is very transformative. It will heal us, it will transform us, it will make us immune to lower vibrational forces. But if you take that vibration and you move it beyond love into joy, this is even more powerful. And you just do it by saying, with the power of God that I am, because we all are sovereign, we're God beings. We're beings created by the oneness. With the power of God that I am joy. I am joy. And when we say that and speak those words, We are creators. The word, when we speak the words, we are creating. When I'm speaking these energy words of new creation, I'm recreating as well. But everybody is a creator, and so everybody can speak the words. The word is the way. See?
How can people find out more about you? You, of course, have your website, which I would like you to mention, but you've also written some books and you're giving lectures all over the world. And if people would like to find out more or have you to come and do one of your spiritual seminars, please talk about how we can contact you.
Thank you. Well, I have a website. It's judysatori.com. But I also have an online library. When I talk about a library, it has got a lot of programs in this library to open the heart, there's a multi-galactic pathway to connect to your star origins, for example. There are programs to be all you can be and more. There's true colours that will activate purpose, activate soul purpose, to help you walk the path of the soul that you've come to do in this lifetime. There's a program about speaking the languages of light that I speak, but it's not about learning it, it's about activating or being activated to do it. There's many karmic clearing programs to clear the energy distortion that we all have as human beings, because when we realize that we are not our energy, then we can change our reality. But the energy that's vibrating in our energy fields will directly affect how we think, what we believe, how we respond to other people in our world. It's the energy. So when you change the energy, we change ourselves and we change our world, we change our reality. We change everything about the way we see life. See, because all my work is about helping people be the very best that they can be. But now it's gone to another level. And what my work is now, it's about bringing through energies from source, from the heart center of these 22 galaxies, this more expanded God creation energy, which is like ultralight. When I talk about ultralight, I'm talking about a new spectrum of energy that is extremely catalytic and creative. And scientists have been only aware of this new energy spectrum in the last probably 10 years, since about 2007. One scientist, Dr. Nemirov, talks about it as being a fifth energy species, because ultralight is like the opposite of the primeval dark matter energy at the beginning of the universe. Ultralight is like an ushering in of a new wave of energy, a new wave of vibration, a new vision which is energetic, and a new vision which is transformative in terms of how we think and feel as people. Because the energies that I now bring through from this beyond the beyond place, which is ultralight, is designed to completely activate and transform all of us to be more than we ever have dreamed possible before. So although there are many forces of so-called darkness out there and control that are attempting to stop the forward march of humanity's evolution, they won't win, because the divine forces of light are so much more powerful than anything that they can bring.
You're certainly and definitely an inspiration to many, and your message is clear. It is of compassion, light, life, and love. And it's been a great pleasure meeting you, and I want to thank you very much, Judy Satori, for doing this interview with Age of Truth TV.
Can I do a final energy transmission for everybody? So I feel it's very important, Lucas, that everybody out there starts to put aside the fear and move into love, move into peace, understand that it's perfectly possible to have prosperity and abundance for all. And the more we change our consciousness, the more we understand that we can do it, the more the change can happen and the more quickly it can happen. But I feel with the divine, the spiritual hierarchy who are with me, that they want to bring through some energies now from beyond the beyond with this ultralight, because they want to give everybody an energy experience that we are not alone on Earth. No harm will come to any of us. The Earth is not going to disintegrate. Nothing bad will happen, and that we're on an incredible progress path into the good, into the God really, into the God self of us, and we are being looked after. So I really feel that sincerely. So here we are. Let's see. This is this energy from beyond the beyond, in the heart of the diamond. Shilaki sana belako shilak sira belako ria. Ana belaka laba dai so da belaka laba ki. Ana belaka sabi stad da belaka ti. Ana belaka de belaka laba da so. Ana belaka laba shlo da belaka laba ki. Ana le de belaka laba shlo da belaka ki. Asida sa da belaka ki. Ana belaka le say da belaka laba say da belaka laba ki. Asada say da belako ya. Ashlo da sada belaka ki. Akazi de kazi de kazi de kazi de kazi de kazi de kazi de kazi. This is about clearing the dross, clearing the karmic pain, clearing misalignment of understanding. Shilak said about steer. I live in a color but the sun about the key. I look at us said about the steer. And they said it's about the good earth said about the key. I let a go about the saddle about the deer. It says that a saddle about a car. And I like to go about the soul about a little about the sea. It's slay about a little about the zap about the key. I look like a saddle about the sand about the key. I look at us said about the shun about a key. I slay about the color about the ball stew. I live like a said about the key, I let a start about a key, I let a about the key, I saw, I let a go stand about a key, I let about a soul at heel a car, Matima. These words, you are loved, you are blessed. Shlak said about a key, I let about a soul son about a key, I let a lot to put about a soul about a key, I let a lot son about a gas about a gas about it, I let a lot solo about a shun about a key, I can't sit a coyety. And the wise words are, do not fear, all is well. Shlak be at peace. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
You're so welcome. I'm dragging them.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Judy Satori, and thanks to all of you for watching Age of Truth TV. You can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv. And please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.